what inspired me to get into coaching was in my final years of playing at a high level. The coaches kind of instilled in me and gave me that support that I did have quite a high basketball IQ, and the way that I could get quite a bit out of the players that I was playing with and the people around me made it really evident that I could essentially become somewhat of a good coach. Um, as I was ending my basketball career playing wise, I was training with the Sydney Kings and in the NBL one. Um, at this time, I was also coaching a lot of school basketball, some individuals and skill work, um, and completing my Bachelor of Exercise and Health Science. At this stage, I kind of realized that I can put all of them together. My relationship building through like coaching, my knowledge of basketball, and also my background of exercise and health science, and kind of put it all together to create this holistic philosophy on coaching. The key experiences that taught me how to become a coach and kind of shaped my coaching in general was playing basketball at such a high level from such a young age, building a lot of foundations, how to build them, in order to build them, has really helped me kind of free up that pathway from an athlete to coach, and also from kids that I'm coaching, old people that I'm coaching, the right order to build their foundations and then be able to put things into a team as well. Um, I had a bunch of key role models in coaching when I was younger. I really think they've set the foundation across the board, just in the right order for me to grow as a coach. And this is kind of a lot of how I like to coach as well. Early on, I had two mentors here. One was Kevin White. It really showed me what hard work and how hard you should be pushing in every training session, how you can demand the most from yourself and also others on the court. He was a really big role model when I was younger, and then over the long period of time, Brad Dalton really showed me how to progress slowly but consistently in the right direction. In terms of coaching at school, I had him from year 7 all the way to year 12. And to talk to this day, he's a good role model in terms of building the right foundations as an old school basketball player, and how you have to grow as a player as we go, by making sure we're not skipping steps along the way. I think as a coach, there's plenty of things that are overlooked. I think my biggest takeaway from seeing a lot of coaches, young coaches coming through, is great coaches that don't have their own philosophy. For example, a lot of coaches just go, "Oh well, I learned this from this coach, so I'm just gonna do this." I think a good coach is someone that can take bits and pieces from all their environment and all different coaches that they've learnt of, and then be able to implement it into their philosophy, whether that is offense, defense, transition, relationship building, whatever it is in terms of coaching. Just having your own philosophy that you can all come back, hang your hat on, and go, you know what? I did that this year, or I didn't do that this year, or why didn't I do that in this workout? Because if you're just guessing here and there, like, oh, I hope I do this, I hope I do that, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that overlooked, just having your own coaching philosophy, rather than just stealing someone else's and copying it. Coaching philosophy has three kind of key points. The first one, which is the main one, the umbrella, is relationships. That's relationship building. Number two is the game style. That's dependent on the team and everything. And then number two is development of the individual and the team as a whole. And then the fourth one is what's next for that player and for that team. So, touching on them, I'm going to skip through to the second one, the making sure that your game style is in point, whether that's I have to pick the players and find the players that I want to fit my game style, or whether it's I've got these players and I need to change my game style to that. The next one is development. So how am I going to develop these players on the court, off the court, in the weight room, with their nutrition? How am I going to develop them so they improve over the season, as well as the teams also improve? You can have the best team and you can go all the way through the season and still win, but did they really develop? Not so much. If you have a team that is really good or not as good, like develop heaps during the season, and then you do well, I think that's more rewarding in the long run. And then the last one is what's next. So where is that play going to next? Are they high school to college? Are they college to the pros? Are they a little from to reps? What is their next goal? How do we? I think that's really important rather than just worrying about just the team goal. Now, the overarching point in my philosophy is relationships. Everything comes down to relationships. Whether coaches, players, staff, physio, whatever it is, you need a good relationship, and that means it's just separate as well. So whether it's being able to talk to them about what their goals are, making sure the training's not awkward, making sure you can tell someone they're doing the wrong thing and they need to step up, making sure someone leading from the front. I think the relationships are the crux of every philosophy, or my philosophy, I could say. So I think that is probably the biggest. I think the biggest thing that people don't understand about it is that it's not just show up and coach a game or show up from these kids or adults through these drills. It's all about, well, why are we doing these drills? What do we need to focus on? How can I best move this drill to foster what the kids need or what the adults need? Or I need to work on transition. How do I not make it boring? How do I keep them engaged? How do I get them to compete? All those things I think is very overlooked, I guess, and it's probably what people don't get is like, oh, we did also plan for the whole season. Things chop and change, but we have to go back to the drawing board. I think the biggest thing that people don't understand is like there's a lot more than just showing it coaching. There's a lot that we do at coaches to be good at our craft behind the scenes. Typical day in the season, it looks like 3 or 4 individuals or small groups, couple maybe junior sessions, depending on who's available and what day it is of the week. And then usually in the afternoon it'll be team training. In the off season, it's relatively the same, except for maybe just a bit more bigger groups or smaller group training and gameplay, rather than like team training specifically. But still a bunch of individuals making sure again still working for the athletes and also lifting of some sort. I have 2 key qualities that I think make a really good basketball player and really make it easier for us as coaches to be able to cover. Number one, that's like thinking ahead and making sure that you're being aware of what's happening around you, what's going on in training. Are people messing around? Are they holding people accountable? Like what's going on around you, and how can you help the coach and the team to get the most out of it? And then the other thing would be accountability. The athletes who we don't have to hold accountable are often the best or the most competitive or, rock up to training, ready to work like a professional. Um, the accountability is such a big thing. If you can hold yourself accountable, but also hold the people around you accountable, I think that goes such a long way because there's no wasted time and fluff time and training is always on point because you're there holding each other accountable. Love this question about culture. I think it's super important for every academy, coach, player, whatever environment you're in. I think the culture is super important. I think it's a very overused word, but done in the right way, it's detrimental to your program. I think looking at one point of view in my academy is are players like ready to walk in the door and know what to expect? As a coach and coaches as well, like we hold ourselves to a high standard where we're here, we're ready to work. So like I expect the same from you. Um, if we stuff around, players tend to stuff around. So it's just that community feel of like we're here to have fun, but we're also here to work and to reach our goals together. That's going to create the best community feel and the best results in culture. Um, in terms of another culture of my women's team, like I definitely understand, but it's a very high standard of accountability and work, and we got to make sure that like it continues down. It started years ago, and now it's just continuing through, and like I don't have to do as much because the older girls are there and the older boys are there to kind of show their professionalism and make sure like you get work in. And you're doing the right things, and then that creates good habits from everyone else and the younger kids that are watching. And then it's a snowball effect, right? The biggest challenge in my basketball coaching career so far will have to be just juggling it all, going from teams to skills to strength conditioning to running the business to doing all of those things, to thinking about new concept, how am I going to run this training session? It's just juggling it all, and making sure that I don't lose sight of one, my philosophy, two, my beliefs, and I'm getting the most out of every workout, every training session we do. Um, like I said previously, oh, that's to a high standard. So if that standard's not there, like what am I still doing here? So I think that's definitely one of the biggest challenges is trying to hold yourself to a high standard, but also trying to be able to do so many things and wear so many different hats during the week, during the day. Like everything changes from hour to hour, let alone week to week and parts of the season. On the flip side, my biggest accomplishment was definitely winning youth league women's championship this year. I hadn't coached or head coach, I should say, in 4 to 5 years. So coming from being an assistant coach for 3 or so years and just a bunch of individual and stuff like that, it was quite a challenge to turn on that team and concepts kind of leader role. And be the head of the civic, really. That was a really good challenge, and I'm, stoked that we got to win that for sure. Piggybacking on that, championship was also a couple of weeks later winning the MBL1 Women's Championship as an assistant coach. That was really good. Learning so much from other coaches around me in the league and been going to nationals and seeing these pro players that have played for their country, seeing how they conduct their business in professionalism really opened my eyes to the next level. Uh, and that's also definitely a big accomplishment from going from not coaching too much to winning 2 championships in the same year was definitely a blessing. As to myself as a younger coach would be like just rip it, just go for it. Do the extra hours of study, find clips to watch, follow coaches around, learn from each other, learn from different people, learn from how different coaches in different sports get the most out of their players. It's all relatable and all something that you can use in your team at some stage, your players that you're playing at some stage. So just being able to, do the extra work, watch the extra video, learn, or you can never learn too much. That's my advice to myself